Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a question. How many of you have ever sat down, closed your eyes, tried to meditate, and within seconds thought, I can't do this. My mind won't shut up. I'm just not the meditating type. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. In fact, that very frustration is why this talk is called, Why You Can't Meditate. Most of us imagine meditation as some magical state of total silence, peace, and emptiness, like a monk sitting serenely on a mountain, untouched by thought. And the moment our minds start wandering, we feel like failures. We think, my brain is too busy. I can't stop thinking. This just isn't for me. But here's the truth. Meditation is not about stopping your thoughts. It's about noticing them. The very idea that you can't meditate usually comes from misunderstanding what meditation really is. Why can't you meditate? Because you expect perfection. You expect your mind to behave like a calm lake, when in reality it's more like a stormy sea. And when the waves come, instead of watching them, you try to push them away. That struggle, trying to force silence, is what makes meditation feel impossible. You can't meditate if you're fighting your own mind. Another reason you can't meditate is distraction. We live in a world that thrives on keeping us restless. Notifications buzz, screens flash, endless to-do lists pile up. The moment you sit in silence, your brain, addicted to noise, starts craving stimulation. You think of emails, conversations, or even what you'll eat for dinner. The mind isn't misbehaving, it's simply conditioned. You've trained it to jump constantly, so when you ask it to sit still, of course it resists. There's also the pressure of expectation. You hear people say, meditation changed my life. It brought me peace and clarity. So when you try, you secretly hope for a lightning bolt of bliss. And when nothing magical happens, you feel disappointed. But meditation isn't about fireworks. It's about small, quiet shifts that build over time, like water smoothing stone. So why can't you meditate? The real answer is, you can. Everyone can. The only thing stopping you is the belief that you're doing it wrong. The busy mind is not a sign of failure. It's the very material you're meant to work with. When thoughts arise, you don't need to erase them. You just notice them gently and return to your breath or whatever anchor you choose. That is meditation. Meditation is not about becoming someone else. It's about meeting yourself as you already are. It doesn't require you to be calm before you start. It gives you calm because you start. And it doesn't demand hours on a cushion, just a few minutes of awareness. Even one mindful breath is meditation. So the next time you think, I can't meditate, remember this. It's not about emptying your mind. It's about noticing your mind. It's not about getting somewhere else. It's about arriving here. And it's not about perfection. It's about practice. You don't fail at meditation. The only failure is believing you can't. Here are 7 keynotes for your speech, why you can't meditate. The myth of a silent mind. Meditation isn't about stopping thoughts, but noticing them. Perfectionism as the barrier. Expecting instant calm makes meditation feel impossible. The distraction trap. A restless world conditions our minds to resist stillness. The pressure of expectation. Hoping for bliss or miracles leads to disappointment. Misunderstanding the practice. Thinking you're doing it wrong keeps you from starting. Meditation as presence, not escape. It's about arriving here, not running from thoughts. The truth, everyone can meditate. The only failure is believing you can't. When most people first attempt meditation, they imagine that success means sitting in absolute silence with an empty mind, as though thoughts will suddenly stop and leave them in perfect stillness. This expectation is one of the biggest reasons meditation feels impossible. The truth is, the mind was never designed to be silent. Thinking is its natural activity, just as the heart's natural activity is beating. Expecting the mind to suddenly stop producing thoughts is like expecting the ocean to stop making waves. The waves are not a problem. They are part of the ocean's nature. Similarly, thoughts are not an obstacle to meditation. They are part of the process itself. The real practice of meditation lies in observing those thoughts without judgment, rather than fighting them or wishing them away. This myth of a silent mind often creates unnecessary frustration. People sit down, close their eyes, and within moments thoughts begin to arise. Grocery lists, conversations from the past, worries about tomorrow. Immediately, self-criticism follows. Why can't I stop thinking? What's wrong with me? Maybe I'm just not the type of person who can meditate. That cycle of judgment is what makes meditation seem unattainable. Ironically, the very thing we think disqualifies us, our busy, chattering mind, is actually the raw material we are supposed to work with. Meditation begins when we simply notice what the mind is doing without trying to control it. Imagine sitting by a river. The water flows constantly, carrying leaves, branches, and ripples. If you try to stop the river, you will exhaust yourself, but if you sit and watch, you begin to see the natural rhythm of the flow. The mind works in the same way. When you close your eyes, thoughts will continue to pass by. Meditation is not about damming the river, it is about sitting on the bank and watching the current move. Some thoughts will be light and pass quickly, others may be heavy and linger, but none of them define you and none of them must be erased. This shift in perspective, seeing thoughts as passing events rather than problems, is what transforms meditation from struggle to practice. The myth also persists because of cultural images of monks, sages, or enlightened masters who appear utterly still and serene. We compare ourselves to them and assume that meditation means reaching that state instantly. What we do not see are the years, even decades, of practice behind that stillness. Even the most experienced meditators will tell you that their minds wander. The difference is not that they no longer have thoughts, but that they no longer get lost in them. They have trained themselves to notice wandering quickly and return gently to the present moment. That is meditation in its truest form. It is important to understand that meditation does not eliminate thought. It changes your relationship with thought. Instead of getting pulled into every story, worry, or fantasy, you learn to see them for what they are, temporary patterns of the mind. This is liberating because once you see thoughts as clouds passing in the sky rather than permanent truths, you realize they hold less power over you. In this way, meditation helps not by silencing the mind, but by teaching you not to be controlled by it. So if you have ever thought, "I can't meditate because my mind is too noisy," remember that the noise is not a failure, it is the practice itself. Every time you notice your mind wandering and gently return to your breath or chosen focus, you are meditating. That small act of awareness is far more important than moments of silence. In fact, each return is a victory, proof that you are doing exactly what meditation is meant to teach, paying attention without judgment in this very moment. One of the most common reasons people believe they cannot meditate is the weight of perfectionism. The moment they sit down, they imagine there is a right way to meditate, an ideal state of calm, a perfectly still body, and a clear mind free of distractions. When that doesn't happen, they immediately label themselves as failures. This belief that meditation must look or feel a certain way creates a barrier before the practice even begins. In reality, perfection has nothing to do with meditation. It is not about mastering silence or reaching an extraordinary state of bliss. It is about learning to be with things as they are. Yet perfectionism convinces us otherwise, and so many people give up after only a few tries. Perfectionism often arises from the culture we live in. We are taught to measure success in terms of achievement, efficiency, and results. We want visible progress, proof that we are improving, and guarantees that our efforts will be rewarded. When we bring that same mindset into meditation, it quickly becomes a trap. Instead of allowing the mind to wander and gently returning, we try to control it, discipline it, or force it into silence. That creates tension rather than peace, frustration rather than relaxation. The very attempt to perfect meditation undermines its purpose. Meditation asks us to observe without judgment, while perfectionism constantly judges. Consider the way people often talk about meditation. They describe it as a tool to clear the mind or achieve inner peace. While those outcomes may naturally emerge over time, aiming for them directly can make meditation stressful. It becomes a test, and the inner critic is always ready to declare failure. Why am I still thinking? Why am I not calm yet? Why is this taking so long? These thoughts turn meditation into a performance as though you are being graded. But meditation is not a performance, it is a practice. There is no scorecard, no exam, no competition. The only task is to notice what is happening right now. Perfectionism also creates the illusion that meditation must feel good in order to be successful. If you sit down and experience restlessness, boredom, or irritation, you may assume you are doing it wrong. But those very feelings are part of the process. Meditation is not about chasing pleasant states and rejecting unpleasant ones. It is about seeing both clearly. By welcoming whatever arises, comfort or discomfort, you begin to cultivate resilience. The mind learns that it does not need to run from every difficulty. This is where real growth happens. Ironically, when you let go of the need to have a perfect meditation, you often find that the practice feels lighter and more meaningful. Another aspect of perfectionism is comparison. Many beginners look at experienced meditators and assume they have some special ability to stay calm and focused. What they don't see is the countless hours of distraction, wandering thoughts, and gentle returns that built that skill. Every meditator has a busy mind. The difference is not that some people are born serene, but that they accept imperfection as part of the practice. They know that wandering thoughts are not failures but opportunities to return. Another major reason people feel they cannot meditate is the weight of expectation. Before even beginning, many people have already filled their minds with stories of what meditation is supposed to be. They have heard friends say things like, "Meditation brought me total peace," or read articles that describe it as a gateway to instant bliss, clarity, or even spiritual awakening. So, when they sit down for the first time, they expect lightning bolts of serenity, or at least some dramatic sense of transformation. When those fireworks do not appear, disappointment sets in quickly. Instead of appreciating the subtle work happening beneath the surface, they assume meditation does not work for them. In reality, it is not meditation that has failed them, it is the unrealistic expectations they carried into the practice. The problem with expectation is that it creates pressure. Instead of simply sitting and observing the mind, people start monitoring themselves. Am I calm yet? Has my stress disappeared? Do I feel enlightened? This constant measuring prevents them from being present. They are too busy evaluating to simply notice. Ironically, the desire for meditation to produce a certain state becomes the very obstacle that keeps it from unfolding naturally. Meditation is not about chasing results, it is about allowing whatever arises to be there without resistance. Yet expectation turns the practice into a task with a finish line, something to be achieved rather than experienced. Think of it like planting a seed. If you bury the seed in the soil and then dig it up every day to see if it has sprouted, you will never give it the chance to grow. Meditation works the same way. Its benefits are gradual, often invisible at first, but deep and transformative over time. Expectation forces us to keep checking for progress, and in doing so, we disturb the very growth we are hoping for. The practice requires patience and trust, two qualities that are often at odds with the culture of instant results we live in. Another way expectation interferes is by narrowing our definition of success. Many people believe that the only valid meditation is one that feels peaceful or pleasant. If they experience restlessness, anxiety, or even sleepiness during practice, they assume they are doing it wrong. But meditation is not about manufacturing pleasant states. It is about becoming aware of whatever arises, even if it is uncomfortable. Some sessions will feel calm, others will feel restless, and both are equally valuable. The mind that resists discomfort is the mind that needs meditation the most. By expecting only positive experiences, people reject half the practice and miss the real gift it offers: acceptance of life as it is, not as we want it to be. There is also the subtle expectation of transformation. People often begin meditation because they want to become someone else, less anxious, more focused, more spiritual. But meditation does not make you into a different person. It allows you to see yourself more clearly. It is less about becoming and more about being. When you meditate with the expectation of changing into an idealized version of yourself, you place unnecessary pressure on the practice. True transformation comes not from striving but from observing. The paradox is that the less you demand from meditation, the more it gives you. Even experienced meditators are not immune to this trap. After years of practice, one might expect that the mind should now be permanently calm or free of distraction. When reality proves otherwise, frustration arises. But meditation was never meant to eliminate the natural movements of the mind. Its gift is not the absence of thought but the freedom to relate to thought differently. Letting go of expectation means understanding that every session, no matter how noisy or restless, is valuable. There is no wasted meditation, only moments of awareness. So, when people say, "I can't meditate because nothing is happening," what they really mean is that nothing they expected is happening. The silence, the bliss, the visions, all of those are ideas, not requirements. Meditation is not about producing special experiences but about meeting ordinary experience with fresh eyes. The stillness you seek often arises only after you stop expecting it. In that sense, the greatest obstacle to meditation is not your mind's busyness, but your demand that it be different than it is. The moment you let go of expectation, meditation becomes possible, natural, and even effortless. Another reason many people believe they cannot meditate is the persistent misunderstanding of what meditation truly is. So often people approach it with the wrong assumptions: that it requires sitting perfectly still, that the mind must be completely blank, or that there is only one correct technique. These misconceptions create unnecessary barriers. Instead of entering the practice with openness, people start with self-doubt, believing they must be failing if their experience doesn't match their idea of meditation. But meditation is not a rigid formula. It is a practice of awareness. Misunderstanding this basic truth makes countless people give up before they even begin. One of the most common misunderstandings is equating meditation with the absence of thought. As soon as someone sits down and notices a stream of chatter in their mind, they think they are doing it wrong. They believe that successful meditation means entering a blank, thoughtless void. When they cannot achieve that, frustration sets in. I just can't do this. In reality, thoughts are not signs of failure. They are signs that the mind is working as it always does. The true practice is noticing those thoughts, gently acknowledging them, and returning to your point of focus. This cycle of wandering and returning is meditation itself. Another misunderstanding is the belief that meditation is meant to create immediate relaxation or bliss. While it is true that many people experience calmness as a byproduct of meditation, that is not its primary goal. The real aim is awareness, being present with whatever arises, pleasant or unpleasant. Sometimes that presence feels soothing, but other times it reveals discomfort, restlessness, or emotions you might prefer to avoid. Beginners often assume that difficult sessions mean they are failing, when in fact those sessions are some of the most valuable. Meditation helps you build the capacity to stay with discomfort rather than run from it. That is the heart of the practice, yet misunderstanding it as merely a relaxation tool causes many to abandon it when it feels challenging. There is also a misunderstanding about posture and environment. People imagine that meditation requires sitting cross-legged on a cushion in absolute silence. While such settings can be helpful, they are not requirements. Meditation can be practiced sitting in a chair, lying down, walking slowly, or even during daily activities like washing dishes. What matters is not the position of the body but the quality of attention. The belief that you must create the perfect, external conditions before you can meditate often prevents people from starting. Meditation is about awareness in any moment, not about waiting for ideal circumstances. A deeper misunderstanding lies in the idea that meditation is something you either succeed at or fail at. Many people treat it like a skill with strict rules, where you either pass or fall short. But meditation is not a competition. It is not measured by how long you stayed focused or how quiet your mind became. The only success in meditation is noticing. If you notice that your mind has wandered, you are already meditating. If you notice that you are restless, that is meditation. If you notice your desire to quit, that too is meditation. By misunderstanding it as a task to perfect, people miss the reality that every moment of awareness, no matter how brief, is the practice itself. Another common trap is thinking that meditation is reserved for monks, spiritual seekers, or people who already live calm lives. Ordinary people with busy schedules often assume they are disqualified because their minds are too active or their lives too messy. But meditation is not about escaping life. It is about entering it more fully. It is not about being calm before you begin. It is about practicing awareness in the midst of noise, stress, and chaos. Misunderstanding meditation as something reserved for a special kind of person excludes the very people who could benefit from it the most. Ultimately, misunderstanding meditation creates a cycle of self-criticism. People think, I can't do this, when in fact what they cannot do is live up to an illusion they have created. The reality is that meditation does not require special states, special settings, or special people. It requires only a willingness to notice what is happening right now without judgment. Once this misunderstanding is cleared away, meditation becomes far less intimidating. Instead of trying to meet impossible standards, you realize that even your imperfect, wandering, restless sessions are real meditation. And with that understanding, the practice becomes not only possible, but natural. One of the most overlooked reasons people believe they cannot meditate is that they approach it as an escape rather than as a practice of presence. Many step into meditation thinking it will transport them out of their current struggles, worries, or restlessness into a different, more ideal state of mind. They imagine meditation as a doorway to another world where thoughts vanish, problems dissolve, and peace washes over them like a wave. When that doesn't happen, they feel cheated or assume they are doing something wrong. But meditation is not about running away from the present moment, it is about arriving more fully in it. And this misunderstanding often leaves people thinking they are incapable of meditation, when in fact they are simply resisting its true purpose. The tendency to use meditation as escape is natural. Life is stressful, and the idea of a practice that promises instant relief is appealing. But meditation is not about turning away from life's difficulties. It is about turning toward them with awareness. If you sit down expecting to float into another reality, the experience will likely feel disappointing. Thoughts still come, discomfort still arises, and daily worries don't magically disappear. Instead, what meditation teaches is how to sit with all of that without running, fixing, or resisting. It is not about achieving a special state of mind, it is about being intimate with whatever state of mind you already have. This distinction is crucial. When meditation is seen as escape, Every uncomfortable moment is viewed as failure. Restlessness, boredom, or emotional heaviness are treated